Hey guys, today on my variety show I'm going to talk to you about the fuel systems on Komatsu dozers, the late 80s, 90s. This is a D31P 18. It uses what some people call the Komatsu Cummins. It's an inline 6. It's the 6D95L is the motor, and it uses what looks like a P pump or an MW pump, but it's licensed probably by Robert Bosch. Pretty similar, really similar to a P pump, honestly. So, which is, by the way, a phenomenal fuel system. Now, I had this machine quit on me in a cold bout where I was on this job. The trucks were coming dumping dirt, and I ran it out of fuel. So there's no in-tank pump, no filter that I'm aware of. It's just a gravity feed line from the bottom of the tank up to the front, which I've got it clamped off right now. And here's the Banjo bolt. So this is the inlet fuel feed. The line from the tank that goes to the lift pump, transfer pump, which is mounted right there. It's got 3 bolts. It rides a cam. There's your roller follower right there. And it rides a fuel lobe inside the motor, inside the injection pump cam. So your inlet line comes in from the right, and your outlet line is on the left, which goes up to a filter head. Phenomenal fuel system. The filter's mounted up high, and it's got a vent port. Oh my Lord, praise you, Jesus. Thank you, Komatsu, for building a wonderful fuel system. You got a hand primer, hand plunger right there. So the way that these work, when that cam rolls around, it pushes in this roller tip, and that pushes a cup, looks like a bucket, looks like a 5-gallon bucket, that pushes that cup against the spring. When that cam lobe leaves, when you get back to the base circle, it allows this spring that's behind here to push that bucket back, and that's your pumping action. Okay, so you're compressing a spring, and the energy stored in the spring compresses the fuel. But you got to have check valves. What frequently quits on these, you'll hear them start to rumble and burble and fart when they're running out of fuel. When you get near the bottom of the tank, you're going to end up sucking up a bunch of junk. Okay, you got rusty, wet fuel from all that condensate. And look what we have in here. This is the inlet line. The Banjo bolt on Japanese Robert Bosch older fuel systems usually contains what I call the rock catcher. Hopefully I don't drop it. It's this little plastic threaded screen right there. That will be full of grit and trash and rust particles and paint flakes. So you clean that out, blow out the Banjo bolt, and usually you're back off to the races. I have not yet had a filter clog, ever. I've never had a filter clog, but I have had these clog many times. So I consider this a maintenance item. That Banjo bolt is interchangeable, I believe, with the other side, but you need it to be on the tank side to protect this pump, which is about $150 these days. You need to protect that pump from getting trash in it. And the reason why is because, like any plunger style pump, you've got to have check valves. Your check valves are these little guys right here, these little flat face dudes. And they ride one inside the hand primer. So the bore of that hand primer right there takes this little stem, okay, and that has to be able to go in and out nice and clean. If it gets grit or rubbish, that very fine spring is not able to do it. So I had a situation the other day where I was losing my mind, and here's how you can tell if your check valve is stuck. You got 2 of them now, one on the intake side and one on the output side. So that ferrule right there on the left also has one. I was getting fuel blowing up out of this top port, and you take that out and you can pump the hand plunger right down here. You can be pumping that plunger and it would shoot fuel out the top. When I leave the plug out and roll the motor over, nothing is coming out. If you have that fault, it's this right here. It's this check valve plunger being stuck in the bore and not being willing to open to allow that pump of fuel to go to the filter head. Instead, it's going back to the tank. And these are really good cold starters. It's got a grid heater right there. There's a solenoid. I don't remember if I put that there or if it's original or someone else did it. But if you run them glow plugs, I mean, in the coldest of weather, this machine will start. So if you're not getting fuel out of there when you roll it over, but you are getting it with the hand plunger, that tells us your line is clear and this is messed up. If you're getting low power all the time, change this, just clean that guy out. Your filter is probably still going to be okay. The only other thing I can say is crack your ferrules. to bleed your injection lines if you've completely had it dismantled and run dry. But this machine, this fuel system is really good at self-prime, at self-purging, clearing the air out of the injection. I can't say enough good things about these old Komatsus, except that they don't grow on trees and they're not a dime a dozen, and they're getting harder to find parts, so where you have to start fabricating your own solutions. But here's the easy way to see if this thing does work. Pull that feed line, pull the output line off with your hose here unclamped. Back here, unthread your plunger, push it down, and see, are you getting fuel coming up. Got the line reconnected, the vent plug is out on the top. Hand plunge. I can hear it. There we go. We got fuel coming up to the top. I'm going to go slow to get any air bubbles out. Yeah, I'm going to say that that thing's purged. My finger can't really get there with that. There we go. Put that in there. 13 millimeter. Snug it up. Give our plunger a few more turns. I can hear fuel going back to the tank. That's because there's an overflow valve. So what we're doing when we pump this, we're taking atmospheric pressure fuel from the tank, and we're raising the pressure through here back into the pump, into the galley, which this is the fuel pressure regulator. This is a drain line coming from your injector drain, which cools your injectors. This is your line back to tank. There's a spring and a little BB in there, and that spring sets the pressure that's in this. So this is your overflow. When we pump this up, we're gonna be pressurizing through here, and the overflow is gonna set that pressure and it's gonna hold it. And that's what makes the fuel run into your injector barrels, your plunger barrels inside the pump, when they are all the way down. Now, if I can get this tight with one hand or not, I don't know. Normally it takes one hand to hold it and one to turn it. I got it threaded right there. So we thread that guy back down. Come on, one more. Right there, and now let's start the machine. See if it starts. Fuel up, power on, no glow plug, cold start. This isn't even a glow plug issue. The issue is purging the air so that the injectors will pop off. I can hear one cylinder after another starting to come on. Well, now I got to figure out, did it stall because that plugged up again, or because we got air, or what's going on? Well, let me figure that out. If this line from here to the filter is not pulsing, that lift pump is not pumping into that line. And this is the first place I would check. It took me 3 times opening that a little bit, opening the bolt and the seat and pumping the hand primer and watching all the dirty, gritty, crapola stuff drip out of it. It looked like mud coming out with diesel. When it came out with clear diesel, then the thing got better. You could actually tell when I was trying to get it to run, you could actually tell when this was plugging up again and the pump would run dry, and it was like pulling the fuel shutoff lever.